So welcome to another episode of Pioneers of Good, and I'm here with Chris Walton. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Kate.
It was quite synchronicity or serendipitous that we met because I read one of your books. I was recommended by a colleague in Wales, and I met a friend who was meeting you for coffee, and I thought this must be a meaning.
That's quite synchronistic, yeah.
And it's quite apt because you are an internationally renowned mindset coach, I'd say, or performance coach.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that.
I do a lot of research in consciousness and about maintaining peak performance and staying in that sort of higher state of awareness of ourselves so we can achieve our optimal.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that, yeah.
And I've actually got one of your books, I'm sitting on it at the moment, called The Gamma Mindset, just to prove that I've read it with lots of notes, and I absolutely adored it.
3 years of blood, sweat and tears in that book.
Yeah. So could you explain to us what inspired you to get into this domain?
Yeah, that's a good start. My first career was in the health and fitness industry. So from 91, I was working in the health and fitness industry. I actually started training in the UK in 1991 when it wasn't even a thing, personal training. And then through the 90s, from 94 onwards, I was working at a private health club and I was training professional athletes. So they were top squash players wide the world, 6 out of 10 top players come to this club. And I would do the strength and conditioning for them, the nutritional plans, that sort of thing. And what got me interested into the mindset aspect of performance was, it's certainly in the men's game, the skill difference from even the top 10, top 12 players, the skill was negligible. They were more or less the same skill set. The fitness was a given. They were elite athletes, complete. I mean, if you've ever seen a squash rally, it's an really, really intense sport. And their fitness was elite level. It couldn't get any higher than where these guys and girls were. And then, but especially in the men's game, so the experience. There was people with more experience, but they were all experienced professional athletes, elite fitness. But the people that kept winning the tournaments out of the top 10 was the same 2 and 3 people every tournament, not like randomly every tournament. So I started wondering what's going on, and as you got further in and explored and got to know these people and talk more about it, you realise and watch the sport and watch what happens. You realise that the people that kept winning were the ones that could bring that skill into the moment when the pressure was on. When it was a high pressure rally, when they're a couple of points behind and there's only 1 point left in the game or whatever, and really pull it through, keep it together. And that absolutely fascinated me. I thought, well, the fitness is a given, the skill's there, they're all experienced players, these are elite athletes, but the mindset was the difference that made the difference, that kept the ones winning that kept winning. And that absolutely fascinated me. This was about 97, and I really started to think, right, and I started studying psychology stuff and all sorts of stuff around performance mindset stuff. And then at the same time, interestingly enough, as well as training professional athletes, at the same time, I was training a lot of what you would call normal people, normal working people. And it was quite amusing because, as I say, this was the early days of personal training in this country. And it'd be like, it was like being a therapist, so they'd come in twice a week for an hour and they just download their week or their weekend to me and listen. And it was really interesting if I trained the wife at the start of the week and trained the husband at the end of the week, and they were talking about the same event, but 2 completely different stories, So I thought, we're all mad, and everybody's got like stuff going on, subconscious stuff. So I can see it in normal people, what's making them successful or not at work, and listening to them day in, day out about their woes and challenges in life, which was interesting, I was a chatty guy, so it was good. And then training world champion athletes, I'm like, it's all down to the mindset, not all, but there's a massive part of life and being successful and joyful and happy, and also elite performance and performing at your best. There's a huge part of that is down to your mindset, your inner belief and all that. So that's how I got started in it. And then, started studying psychology really in depth from 98, and then just it was like a duck to water from there, and then sort of moved full time into that a few years later.
Yeah, I mean, it's a subject that I find very fascinating as well, from my own personal journey, because I've owned businesses by myself and working as an entrepreneur, it's sometimes our own demons that stop us getting into action as much as those athletes.
Absolutely.
But it sounds like you wanted to answer that question, how? How are they performing consistently at that level? And also, how can we replicate it?
Exactly.
For the normal person?
Yeah, exactly that. I'm very much into helping people get into that state of flow, and obviously flow comes from, I think flow comes from psychology, and the zone comes from sport, if you want to use the terms, but it's the same thing. But for me, it's been very much about, we're not all Olympic athletes and world champions, we're not all top athletes, most people are normal folk, and I then tend to work a lot with entrepreneurs. And how can normal people, get in a flow state every day, access higher abilities, change the mindset, change the outdated stuff, and get into that flow where they've got easy access to the skills and knowledge. They're able to communicate with clarity and confidence, so they're able to enjoy the journey, but also be successful, make it happen, but not make it happen in a stress way like so many people are today. So that's really the interest in mapping over from professional sport into normal people, for whatever word normal means, into how to help people to access higher states of consciousness and really flow through life and not stress through life, but make it happen, be successful, hit the goals, do something while you're here. That's been my passion.
Yeah. Have you found, just slightly talking about the end results, people getting to that utopian state to realise that they're still miserable, and that the goal of success wasn't actually as golden as they found?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think that's a big part of it. Is many people over the years of coaching, they achieved the goal. In fact, I had a client come last week who spent 2 years with me coaching, and we went over the end result of what went on her first session, what she wanted. There were about 6 things, and on our last session we said, right, have we achieved this? Tick, 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 tick. Everything was done. But there was sort of not like an elation, but what there was from her was we focused on this, she made sure that she enjoyed the journey of getting there. So it wasn't like, here I am, and I'll be happy when I get there. It was like, that's what I want to do, but I want to, enjoy the steps along the way. And I think it's very easy to miss that, particularly in the busy world that we live in, where we're all bombarded with information. It's like, I want this, I want this, I want this, and before you know it, you're 60 or whatever, and you might have got it, but you forgot what the journey was like. You haven't enjoyed it. So I think there's a big part of that. There's a big part of, particularly when you're talking about heightened states and getting into higher states of consciousness. A state's a state. It doesn't last. But the more you can tap it, the better it is. The more you can access it. But yeah, it's very much, it's very important, isn't it, to enjoy that process and really live that process. Otherwise, before you know it, you'll be in a box and you haven't remembered anything. That might sound a bit extreme.
It's kind of valid as well.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to how to generate our flow state as more consistently as possible. And for anyone who hasn't read your Gamma Mindset, I haven't read your other one yet. Okay. I can't recommend it highly enough because this answers those questions.
Very nice of you, yeah.
But thinking about your business, you're coaching these elite athletes. You're starting to see consistencies and synchronicity with their mindset as well as their consistent performance. When did you say, I've got something I can take to the market?
Yeah. That's a good one. Well, I sort of fumbled along at first, like you do when you get going, and I first started out with NLP and then hypnosis and visualization and that sort of stuff, and I didn't really think too much of that. I studied 3 lots of hypnosis, but I found it long-winded and ineffective, really. It didn't really hit the spot, and same with NLP. I thought, oh God, I spent millions of years training NLP. I spent thousands. I did everything you could do, and there's some good stuff, but most of it's just padding. When you actually come to get out of the workshop and work with real people in real setting, what works? So I think probably I was on a bit of a quest. There's no doubt about it. I was on a quest to find, when you understand a little bit about how the mind works, you understand obviously the power of belief, and obviously everybody knows belief's important and self-belief is what we all want. But I was really on a quest to work out, well, how can we, update the mind? How can we change those patterns of the subconscious? How can we get to the subconscious and make sure we can get those changes so that we can flow, so that we can get into that more of a flow state? So I was just really driven to find that, and then learned some processes, tested some stuff out, started writing my book in 2008. It took 3 years. And then I started doing some brainwave, easy for me to say, research, measuring brainwaves, trying out different techniques in around 2008 also, actually, around that time. And so I was just playing with stuff, testing brainwaves, and then I put basically 4 parts together. I put one process together with a relaxation process, with a posture, and with a heart-brain connection process. Put 4 things together, and then started measuring this brainwave pattern that came from this technique, which became known as the Gamma Mindset. And it was a really unique brainwave signature, or I should just say unique brainwave signature, where within 60 seconds you very quickly get these deep relaxation brainwaves, theta brainwaves, and these gamma waves. And gamma waves are when we are functioning at our peak, you know, when we're optimised. And so it was like, wow, this is interesting. And I didn't do anything with it for 6 months. I thought, okay. And then, anyway, that unfolded, and then I did more research and more measurements, and the friend in Croatia who was a mechanical engineer and a brainwave guy, and he started measuring it. I'm like, wow, this is consistent data, you know. Everybody that does this technique really quickly, and the point was quickly. Now, bearing in mind I used to use hypnosis, so I know how quick this is. So you can see it on a brainwave scan that within 60 seconds you create this really peak state of consciousness in your brain. So by doing that on a daily basis, does that make a difference to your life? You know, well, firstly, it allows you to make subconscious changes, which we can come on to. But by activating this brainwave state every day, does it make a difference, or is it just nice but no real difference in your life? And no, so I was then starting to see really amazing changes. I was actually using this technique in 2005 and 6 with some athletes, which we had just phenomenal results. Actually, at the British Open tournament, British Squash Open tournament in 2005, I'd done a session with a guy, Anthony Ricketts, an Australian professional, one of the fittest people I've ever met in my life. Off the chart fitness. Long story short, we can fill it out later if you wish, but long story short, there's some specific changes on his subconscious about winning the tournament, etc, 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 becoming world number one, and a whole range of really specific subconscious belief changes. And then he, cut a long story short, he went on to that tournament. He got to the semi-final of that tournament, and he played the world number one. At the time, it was a guy called Peter Nicol, who was dominating. And he'd played him before, never beat him, and he beat him in a 5-set thriller. Like it was like a Borg, McEnroe, Wimbledon, you know, showing our age, or my age, whatever. And so he beat the world number one. I was like, wow, holy shit! And then he went into the final, and he beat a French guy and thrashed him. And so he won the tournament. The British Open was the equivalent of Wimbledon, you know, in squash. It's the big tournament in the world. So that was his best result, you know. So that was very, very specific. And we did the session about a week before, and it was so direct, you're like, wow, you know. And even to the point was, Tony was like a McEnroe character. He was very hot-headed, and he'd blow up if he had a bad call. And we worked on that. We programmed his mind to stay focused, to stay in the zone. And he had some bad calls in that game, and he didn't blow up once. He just kept in the zone. Even to the point that people who followed the game and went to watch the tournaments said to him after, "What have you been doing? You seem so calm, you seem so focused." And these were the words that we were using to program in his mind, you know. And it was like, wow, obviously he was over the moon, and I was like, that's the most direct, you know, from testing him out, upgrading his mind to getting the result a week later. We're like, wow. So yeah, that's a nice result when you're able to get something like that. But anyway, I went off a bit there, so yeah. So that's you know, once I sort of cracked the technique and knew, right, okay, I've got the brainwave measurements here, so we know, okay, that's giving you direct access to your subconscious. If you know what to do when you're in subconscious, you can make rapid changes, come back out, and then go along your business and see what happens, you know. But it just gives you the opportunity to make rapid and profound change, which is something that most people think you can't do, you know. So yeah.
That's very interesting. I suppose by having that validated, your theory validated by externals, not friends, not people who maybe unconsciously want you to...
A bit biased or whatever,
exactly.
yeah.
You can then say, this is something I can sell, this is something I can package and actually deliver, knowing I'm adding immense value to people's lives.
Yeah, and it's the speed, and everybody wants quickness today, don't we? We want everything yesterday, don't we, today sort of thing. It's the speed. Like I say, I've tried this for years looking at stuff, and I knew hypnosis, 20, 30-minute inductions, 40-minute inductions, and then hope for the best that it's worked. It was like, firstly, it's boring as a practitioner. It bored me to death, and I wasn't sure. You never know whether there's any benefit. So in my one-to-ones, I use a muscle testing practice anyway, process, so you can see a pre and a post change in the brain and nervous system. But you know, most people don't want to learn muscle testing. They don't need to learn the muscle testing. The bit in the middle, where you activate this brainwave state, this peak state, when people do that, it makes massive differences to their lives. First thing, predominantly, it switches your stress response off. So in 60 seconds, your stress response is off. Now, we all want our stress response off, and then the higher centres come on, and then we think clearly, we feel better, and generally, life and the days, there's a better day. So that's just a physiological benefit. And then the brainwave signature tells you, okay, well look, that's a deep healing state in the body, so you create profound healing in the body physiologically, and then you can make changes in the subconscious mind. And if you just do it a couple, 5-6 minutes a day, and you just watch yourself over 3, even a week. In fact, what happens is if you do it for 5 days and then you don't do it, you crave it, because you're putting your body into a peak state of consciousness, and your brain, your mind into a peak state of consciousness that it doesn't access at any other time of the week. It doesn't create that brainwave signature, so it's different. And you feel it and you're like, oh, I get back into that zone. But because it's quick, anybody can do it, it works. And since then, I've gone on and I've measured, well over 24 people now, from the ages of 20 to 71. And everybody that does it gets these gamma activation, increased theta, increased alpha, and reduced beta, which is that wide awake, busy waves is sort of switched off. So it puts you in the zone, it puts you in a state of flow. So it's, you know, it hits the spot very, very quickly and powerfully. But like I say, you can do it quickly. You don't need to be meditating for 20 minutes or whatever, you know.
Well, it sounds too good to be true.
It does sound too good to be true, doesn't it? Yeah.
Would you be prepared to share with us what we have to do? Or?
Yeah, I will, but it's if this is on audio, it's hard. You know, it's hard because you will need to see it.
Yeah, because the book, you've got photographs.
Yeah.
I've been working on it. I read your book on a long haul flight when I went back to Australia.
Okay.
And I actually made my little list of areas that I wanted to work on, and I was practicing that.
Nice one. Nice.
Discreetly.
Yeah.
And nobody knew. But at the end of it, my journey was changed.
Yeah, it's tricky. You can actually see me demonstrate it on my website. Okay. So if you want to see it visually, which is better, because otherwise, if you're listening to this, it's hard to do it without seeing it. But basically, there's 4 steps to it. The first step is you tap 10 sets of acupuncture points, like a tapping mechanism with your fingers in a 3x3 rhythm. So you do 10 sets of acupuncture points, 3x3 rhythm, and that basically is like opening up your system. It brings balance into your nervous system, you know, so that it starts to relax. It sends a sort of energy flow, or really makes like the energy flow not restricted to all the organs, all systems of the body. So that's step 1. The second step is a relaxation process, which really focuses on the scalp, the forehead, and where we hold the tension, which is in the jaw. So you really, really relax the face and the neck. That takes 30 seconds. Then you move into a physical posture called the whole brain posture, and then you activate. Then you really relax into that. Then you activate a heart-based emotion. So step 4 is a heart-based emotion, and you really amplify that emotion. And when you do that and those 4 together, that takes 60 seconds, 90 seconds, then you create this peak signature. It happens really, really quickly, so you're there quickly. So yeah, you can see that on the website, so it's easier to see, and it's in the book, of course. But those are the 4 steps, and then when you, from step 4, then step 5 is where you reprogram your subconscious. So that's where you do the reprogramming bit. But those are the 4 steps that get that signature. Yeah.
And your website, just to add now, is Gamma Mindset?
Yeah, gammamindset.com. Yeah, you can sign up as a free masterclass. Takes you through some information about the mind, the latest understanding of the mind, how it works and all that. And then I show you a demonstration of actually doing the muscle test as well. So I'm testing somebody where the belief weakens their body, guide them into the Gamma Mindset, they integrate that belief, and I test them again, and now you see, now it's strengthening their body, their brain's processing that belief differently. So with the muscle test, it's good to see a pre and a post. But also, on a side, whilst I remember it, I also started using another device to measure the effects of the technique, which is a Russian device called electrophotonic imaging, which is a very fancy sounding name. And basically, that's a real highfalutin bit of technology that sends a little signal into the body, scans the body, and then inevitably it's looking at your level of well-being, your level of energy and your level of stress. You can see energy field and the field coming off each organ, so that you can start to see if there's any dysfunctions or where you're losing energy, you know. But inevitably it measures energy and stress. So somebody can come here, we can do it for you afterwards if you want. We can do it. You measure energy and stress, so you say, okay, let's just say you're a bit stressed, it's on a scale and your energy's low. You do the technique, 5 minutes later measure again, completely sorted. And you can see energy field changes as well, so that's separate data. It's almost more interesting than the brainwaves. Just measuring brainwaves after all is quite boring. But when you see energy changes, like what do we want? We want less stress and we want more energy. If you're doing that in a 5-minute technique without having to do anything else, happy days. Never mind the reprogramming, yeah, that's all the physiological benefits. So as you know, you can't separate the mind and the body. You can't, you know, it's one system. So, but it's good to see the effects of it, you know.
Yeah. I've got so many questions. I mean, I'm going to start with one, which is, what's the difference between our conscious brain or our mind versus our unconscious brain? Because you seem to talk about them a lot. How do we operate with them both, and how do we sort of unify them in the same direction?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's a good question for a couple of reasons. Firstly, having a distinction between the brain and the mind is useful, because most people tend to think that the brain and the mind are probably the same thing, or the mind is what the brain does, or something like that, and it's not really overly accurate. And the way I describe it in the book, it's better to think of the mind as the pianist and the brain as the piano. Okay, and the pianist is playing the brain, playing the mind. So it's your patterns. You think. Let me put it another way then. Your brain is obviously physical. You can touch it. It's a 3.5 pound bit of wet, fatty tissue, right? But the mind is energy. The mind's energy and information. So the way that we store information, most people will think, oh, it's like a computer. The brain's a computer, and all the files are stored in the brain. Well, that's a belief, and it's a belief that's never, ever been proven, you know, because it's not overly accurate. So think of the mind as an energy and information field that comes off every cell of your body, not just something that happens in your head, because we've got brain cells in the heart, we've got brain cells in the guts, every cell of the body is emitting frequency, and that frequency is an energy field. So our mind, our conditioned, learned mind, all the things that we learn from growing up, those conditioned patterns, the way we perceive the world through our lenses of our mind then tells the brain what to do. So if you're perceiving the situation, you know, positively, then you see it positively, you perceive it positively because of your belief systems deep down. That's what's creating that perception in the first place, and that's really important to grasp. And then that then tells the brain, okay, we're safe. You know, we can have happy chemistry, healthy chemistry through the body. We don't need the fight-flight system on. You can put your higher centres on, you can think, and you can enjoy the ride. But if we're perceiving something as stressful or fearful or whatever, then that information tells the brain, right, we need the fight-flight centres on and send stress chemistry in, get ready, you know, type of stuff. But it's not just the brain, you know, the brain and the mind are different. Obviously they work together, you know, but that's why I say, think of the mind as the pianist playing the brain. It's what the mind perceives rather than everything being stored in the brain like a computer. You know, that's, you'll see more and more as that comes out. That's never been proven, it's just an idea because people don't know. In fact, if you want to go a little bit further, which gets a bit deeper, you know, the whole study of consciousness is the biggest sort of, what would I say, the biggest confusion or missing piece in the whole of science. You know, nobody knows how we become conscious, you know, and the idea and the belief is, well, maybe it's just the brain makes us conscious. But if that was the case, that would make us like robots, you know, the brain switches on and here we are. So that's not how it works. The brain is much more like a satellite dish than a computer. It receives information from our 5 senses, and based on how we interpret that information, based on our deep down belief systems that we've learned all on our life, that tells the brain what to do. You know, and that's important because really, let the brain do whatever it wants to do, but change your mind. When you change your mind and your beliefs in your mind and your emotional reaction, then that changes the brain. You know, you're not going to worry about that. You focus on your mind, the mind will sort the brain out, and you'll be in a happy place.
Yeah.
Did I go on a bit there?
No, it's great. Great. I mean, just to play a little bit devil's advocate, would there be a concern that I could then always be in a happy space, even if I was facing a genuine concern? So, you know, if I'm a base jumper, I would love to be at the front of a cliff edge. But obviously I've got my parachute. I would like to have that fight or flight mechanism that if I was at a cliff edge without my parachute, that I would, with concern, step away from the ledge.
Yeah.
Would there be any fear of overriding that if I used your techniques or got into that zone state over time?
No, I think it would just be heightened. Because, you know, we always have to remember, you know, we're built to survive. And that mechanism, that fight-flight mechanism's millions of years old, it's kept us alive. So you don't need to focus on it, it's always going to be there, and it's so instant that, you know, it's like, you know, if you see a car out the corner of eye, you'll move, there'll be no conscious awareness in it at all, you'll go, and that instant body movement, so that will keep you safe. But today the problem is that system's too alive because we're bombarded with information. Everybody's, overly stressed with, challenges in life and whatnot, and so that just gets triggered all day long, or can get triggered all day long, even if not off the chart, just to a little underlying chronic level. So we want to get rid of that. We want to switch that off, and when you need it, it'll work instantly. We haven't got to think about it. So in answer to your question, no, you can't override that, and you don't want to override that. But what you do want to do is clear up any of the outdated beliefs and negative emotions and perceptions that you have that create stress in your body when there's no need for that.
Yeah.
And that's the journey of clearing up your own mind, doing some personal development, and waking up to your true self, if you want.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because one of my beliefs is that all my beliefs are created by myself, because that is a belief in itself. And yeah, after reading your book, I started to analyse which ones were holding me back. So. And they did serve me in my past.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one example. Money is always a popular topic.
For everybody, yeah.
Yeah, so money for me was sort of a way of giving to others.
Okay.
But I realised I'd reached my figure. Whenever I reached a certain number, I'd start giving. And I'd come back to the level.
That's very interesting.
So that belief needed to be upgraded to ensure my life was magnified to the level I wanted it to be.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting, because that leads on to something nicely. This is something I've started testing probably... I've said this in a few videos recently. I probably started testing 5 years ago, but when you think, maybe it was 10 years ago, but anyway, at least 5 years, when I work one-to-one and I test people's mind through the body, there's something that we all have called a subconscious financial set point. And that's a point in your subconscious where all of a sudden your mind says, no, you can't earn that money, you can't make that money. So you can test somebody. I did it the other week with 3 entrepreneurs in their 20s, 25, 26, 27 they are, and they're all setting up their own business, working on the brand, nutrition stuff, one's a meditation teacher, building a brand and all that. So I said, let's test. So the first guy, so these people, they're out of university, they've been going for a couple of years, and they're working on it, they're putting the grind in, they're putting the effort in. So the first guy, Chris, tested him. His set point was 15 grand. So when you're testing somebody, it's like, they say out loud, okay, I can earn or make, whichever word, I can earn 50 grand a year, and you test, and does the body stay in flow with that, or do you get a stress response? He got a stress response, all the way down to 15 grand. So in his subconscious mind, it said, I can earn 15 grand, but when you go to I can earn 20 grand, his subconscious says, no, you can't do that. Now that is a problem. If you subconsciously don't believe that you can earn X, and you want to earn X, that means you've got your conscious mind going that way, but your subconscious mind going that way, and not working, exactly, pulling you back and holding you back. And when you understand the power of that subconscious, then you realise, bloody hell, that needs changing. So the second person, again, another guy used to play rugby for Wales, actually, yeah, and so he set up a nutritional company. He had a couple of years working in a bank, so he earned some decent money, and then he just thought, this is not for me, I can't stand it. Went off and did his own thing. So he tested his set point, 50 grand yes, 100 grand yes, 150 grand no. So somewhere between 1 to 150, and what you want to do is you want to clear that. The third person, the meditation teacher, 20 grand. So those 15 and 20 are obviously very low set points. But what you want in your subconscious no resistance to making money. And the way you do that, you actually use 6 belief statements for a comprehensive clearing. It doesn't take long, but you want to be resistance-free in your subconscious about what you can make. That doesn't mean, in some sort of mad off-the-chart law of attraction way, that people are going to send you checks through the post like some people say, or your car's going to turn up, or whatever. Who knows, maybe, but I don't really roll with that so much. But what it does mean is you've got no resistance to making it happen. What does that mean in your body? It means your brain stays switched on, your stress response stays switched off. What does that mean? You can think clearly. You take the action without feeling stressed. You see you see the opportunities, you have the ideas. And of course that's what we want. Unless you live in the world, unless your mindset is that the law of attraction is going to support you for the rest of your life, and you don't have to do anything, and you're going to be financially free, which look around doesn't really happen, then it's better to sort your subconscious out, get clear, and that goes with any area of your life. But obviously money's so tangible. Like I say, it doesn't mean that immediately means you're going to make more money, but what it does mean is you've got no resistance anymore to making more money, and then get out and do it without the resistance. So that's how a lot of the time that subconscious works.
Yeah, the analogy I'm seeing is that you open the hand. So when it arrives, my palm is open to receive.
Lovely.
Rather than fist closed.
Yeah.
It's just going to pass me by.
Lovely analogy, and a really good one too, and exactly that. And if you think about it, Kate, depending on your belief system, if you think about it, the deepest level, it's all about vibration, isn't it? It's all about our vibes. And even if you're not spiritual or into development or whatever, you know what vibes are. You know when you're in good vibes and bad vibes. You know when you're next to somebody with good vibes, oh, they've got good vibes, they've got bad vibes, you know, or they're miserable vibes or whatever. It is vibes, and every cell of our body is sending off frequency. As you know in the book, I call it our personal energy signature. So there's the physical vibrations of all the physiology in the body being broadcast. There's the emotional state, you know, the underlying emotions being broadcast, the mental activity being broadcast, you know, and then of course our spiritual health, whatever that means to you, you know, our flow of higher consciousness. So we're broadcasting, we are an energy field interacting with bigger and grander energy fields. And the stronger and more coherent our energy field, the more influence on that field that you have. So whatever you think of the law of attraction and how things come into being, your vibes at the end of the day matter. And so you want your whole being in alignment with where you want to go. And that's the problem with a lot of people is subconsciously they're going that way or that way from all their old outdated conditioned stuff, when consciously they want this life, this relationship, this money, this house, but subconsciously they're saying no, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, how would I do that, I'm full of self-doubt, I'm full of fear responses. And what does that do? It just shuts your brain down, so you can't think clearly, you can't even think how to make that happen, and you live with that underlying insecurity or uncertainty or anxiety, which inevitably is not a very nice way to live, but that can be changed quickly, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm hearing so many benefits on so many levels, and it's interesting for me how you've stepped from elite performance, and predominantly I know that most of your clients are entrepreneurs and business
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So how would it benefit, apart from the financial status, because that is quite a quantitative example, how have you seen the benefit for business owners in using your Gamma Mindset techniques?
Well, let me give you an example of that, a really live example, just over the last couple of weeks. So I've worked with a couple of clients over the last, say, 6 months, and they are in the buy-to-let game. You know, they're buying properties, property development, that sort of stuff. And as you may know, that's changed a lot. You know, the laws and the regulations and whatnot's changed a lot, and it's caused them, after putting a lot of time and effort and years of graft into their business, it's caused them to need to change and to change options and to change routes, to do something slightly different or, you know, whatever. And I think one of the things is that, particularly with entrepreneurs, and you don't have to be an entrepreneur, anybody that's got a pulse and you're walking on the earth, you know, particularly in the Western world anyway, let's say, you know, we want to achieve something, we want material wealth and all the rest of it, and, you know, for the most part, to some level we all want that. And for the most part, you have to work at it, right? You have to put the grind in, you have to put the graft in, unless, as I say, you are some manifestation wizard, but I haven't met overly too many of those. That I haven't met anybody rich and successful that hasn't worked for it, put it like that, you know. On any level, be it a sportsman or a normal person, you know what I mean? You've got to put the work in. So, how will it benefit is, firstly, going back to the two examples, the two clients, they've had to change strategies quite in a big way, you know, do something different, because the revenue stream they could see with the new laws and the buy-to-let change and everything is going to change, you know, that's not going to work, my model's not going to work anymore. Now, if you can't think clearly about that, if you don't have the resilience about that, the positive, optimistic mindset about that, you can go down a spiral pretty quickly. I'll put 10 years graft into this, my business is going down, the government's not helping me, I can't do this anymore, you know, the properties are this, that and the other, oh my God. But if you've got a more optimistic, visionary mindset, because you can keep your brain switched on and you haven't got a stress response, then you can go, okay, right, opportunity time then. What's the opportunity in this situation? What do I need to do to move forward? And both of them have done that. One guy I actually spoke with this morning, it's a completely different business, but he's absolutely loving it, he's flowing with it, and he even said to me, if it wasn't for doing the Gamma, I wouldn't have even had the idea, I wouldn't even have the courage to do it. So it's just, you know, there's always that, when your subconscious is in alignment with where you want to go, it's much easier. That is the state of flow. But if you feel self-doubt, fear, anxiety, insecurity as a theme, we all feel it to some degree or another, we're all human beings. But if it's a theme that's on, you know, on a loop that sort of stops you doing things, you want to change that. Otherwise it's always going to be on a theme, it'll never change on its own, and there you go, you're limited. So I think Key thing is everybody would benefit from switching the stress response off as much as possible, getting healing chemistry in the body, putting the body in a balanced manner, and then being able to flow from there where you can think without being bitten by the stress response, right? So that's that. And then you need to develop the resilience, don't you? We all need resilience, which comes from many areas, not just working on your mindset. But you need that resilience and you need that energy to keep going in today's world, particularly if you're an entrepreneur. But also if you work for a company, you know, the days of working for a company of 9 to 5, they're long gone, aren't they? I mean, people work long hours and all sorts of stuff. And you need energy and resilience. And obviously we've got this so-called mental health thing that we should come on to. This mental health crisis in this country and maybe the world, I don't know. That seems to be, you know, getting worse and worse, and there are specific reasons for that, I think. You know, I hope I'm not waffling on too much, but just to say that the more you can switch your stress response off every day and access a higher state of consciousness, your day's better. Simple. You've got more energy, you feel better, you think clearer, you make better decisions, you enjoy the day, you know, and that's what we want. So who's not going to benefit from that? Nobody. Everybody will benefit from that. And then the ability to change in the moment, the ability to have things happen and you deal with it without getting stressed, without, you know, losing your shit sort of thing, without freaking out or without, you know, overly stressing yourself out, that sort of stuff. That's very, very important because change is happening faster than ever, isn't it? Everything's changing so fast. If you can't flow with change, and the word flow is important, if you can't flow and thrive with change, you're going to hurt, you're going to suffer because change is happening, it's getting faster, that's going to increase, it's not going to stop. So if you can't flow with change and do what needs to be done, you're going to struggle, and that's just how it is. So it's better to not do that, you know, it's better to get your mind aligned, get your energy sorted, and then enjoy the journey.
Yeah, it's very much like meditation and, you know, the Eastern techniques, but bringing the science and the Western knowledge too, and being in the now. You know, we can't change the past. We don't know what the future holds. It does change, as you said, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and we don't know what's coming.
So let's strive for what we want, but also enjoy what we're doing today.
Yeah, it's so important. I think that's a massive problem. I mean, I do my very, very best to be as present as possible and enjoy the ride. I've got a little acronym, and you remember the old acronym PMA, Positive Mental Attitude, right? So I like PMA squared. PMA squared. So what's PMA squared? This is, for me, the best way to manage your conscious mind, right? Your conscious mind. PMA squared. Okay, so what's that? Positive mental attitude with present moment awareness. And if you just think about that, yeah, you want to be positive, obviously. Positive's good, right? Doesn't mean to say you're never going to be feeling down, you know, we're human beings, but choosing positive attitudes consciously is a healthy thing to do with present moment awareness. So you are living in the here and now, not too far in the future, not too far thinking about what happened in the past. So that's the model that I use for conscious mind, you know, to manage your conscious mind. And it's a simple one, simple. Yeah. Positive mental attitude with present moment awareness, PMA squared. So that's it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I could talk with you for hours, Chris, and we have, and I'm very lucky to just be down the road from a very good cafe, and so are you.
This is true, yeah.
I'm sure this journey will continue.
Yeah, much to say, yeah.
But unfortunately, our time here on the podcast is over.
Okay.
I would love to end us with thinking about, you know, I see you as a pioneer in this industry of, you know, leaving people not just fixing their problems, but removing them and replacing it with some positivity as well.
Yeah.
So, your final words of inspiration or insight, what will the community of 20 or 30 years' time be like in this frame?
You've asked me that at the wrong and the right time, because yesterday I was just watching an interview with one of the artificial intelligence scientists. So in 30 years, I don't know, we might be living in what's this called the singularity, where artificial intelligence is more intelligence than humans, and then we've got like, you know, amazing things happening every second, and we live in multiple dimensions. So that's off the chart stuff. But to come back to, I suppose, more practical, I think a takeaway for people, and it's something really, really important that I stress as much as I can, and you get a lot of kickback for it, is it's really useful to know that change is not hard. you know, with the tools and the techniques from the area of energy psychology, is the field of psychology. It's called the fifth force in psychology, energy psychology. Understanding the mind-body connection, understanding how thoughts and feelings travel through the body, not just something in the brain, you know. Just getting your head around that a little bit and realising it's not hard to change. The idea that change is hard, it's going to be painful, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be taking something away, it's going to be long, that's outdated stuff based on old psychology, old therapy that is irrelevant now. It's gone. You can change your emotions, the fear, self-doubt, anxiety, frustration, any of that stuff. With the right tools, you can change it in a couple of 3, 4, 5 minute sessions. You can clear that. Work on yourself every day with a short little technique, clear your stuff. With the gamma technique, integrating new information into your body, new belief systems into your body, integrating that into every cell of your being, you know, it doesn't take long. So you can make profound and rapid changes, you know, to yourself without needing long therapies and long time. 5, 6 minutes a day, hit. See what happens over a month of doing that. You can be completely transformed. So it's important for people to know that, because it's still we hold on to that, belief. Change is going to take us a long time. I've been this way all my life, and so it's going to take me a long time to change. You know, that's quite logical, but it's not true anymore. It's old and gone. You know, we're in a whole new realm of behaviour change, understanding the sciences and stuff like that. So I think a massive takeaway is change is quick. It can be quick. It can be really, really profound with the right tools and the right techniques. It doesn't take a long time. And therefore, to finish, to come on to answer your question specifically, I think I've got really encouraged recently by these 3 entrepreneurs I met in their 20s, so switched on, like really, really on it. And I've changed my mind a little bit. I thought, you know, I was going to focus on the over 40s, and I'm like, you know what, no. The action's in the 20s, you know, these people are out there and they're doing it, and that teenagers, you know, that they really want to be creatives and they really want to make something in the world and do some good in the world. And I think as long as we get these techniques and this information to them so they can tune the mind up quickly, get rid of the old stuff, then give it 10 years, 15 years, and we probably have a country full of really, really switched on people that really care about the planet, that really care about people, that really care about communities. They've got a genuine care for people and love for people rather than just the bottom line and profit. Then the whole environment changes. Then we all relax and everybody gets on and it's a nicer ride. That's what I hope will happen.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, for everyone who would love to follow you and hear more about your working with you, your techniques and how to apply it in their own lives, your website is... Yeah, gammamindset.com. There's a free masterclass there, so you can see the technique, you can see the brainwaves and all that sort of stuff. That's cool. Facebook, usual Gamma Mindset, Chris Walton. I just started Instagram about a month ago, a bit off the pace. So that's Dr Gamma Mindset. So you can find me there, and LinkedIn as well. Yeah. And I'll put all the links in the show notes as well. Excellent. So thank you so much. It's absolute pleasure, Kate. Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Done. Yeah, great.